From Connecticut's news leader, this is NBC Connecticut News at 5:30.
Hi, everybody. It wasn't a hurricane, but it sure felt like one in Fairfield County.
The weekend nor'easter left widespread damage, the likes of which hasn't been seen since Hurricane Gloria. Many people are still in the dark with little chance of getting power back until midweek. Right now, CLNP is reporting about 51,000 homes and businesses are still without power, with the bulk of those outages in Greenwich, Stamford, and Westport. United Illuminating is dealing with around 2,300 outages. Most of those are in Fairfield. NBC Connecticut's Ryan Hanrahan joins us in Westport with a look at some of the damage there and the perspective on how it all happened. Ryan, what a scene there in Westport.
Oh, absolutely, Keisha. Take a look at this house behind me. Now, we spoke with the owners of the house not too long ago, and they told me that it was at about 8 o'clock Saturday night that they heard a terrible cracking noise, and they didn't actually see the fall, but they heard it as soon as it landed on their home. It took out the entire bottom floor of this side of the house, and it was just inches away from the baby's crib that was staying upstairs. It was on the second floor up there, right through that room. That's actually the baby's room, a 14-month-old baby there who is very lucky to be alive, just inches from where he was staying. The family who lives in this house in Westport is staying at a nearby hotel. They had to leave the house. Actually, they just came back just a few moments ago to survey some more of the damage. But this house here in Westport isn't the only one that was damaged. We hear that over 24 homes like this one suffered severe damage. So the damage is just quite incredible here in town.
Ryan, you've been driving around Fairfield County all day. Based on what you've seen, where would you say is the damage the worst?
I would say Greenwich, Stamford, and Westport, probably some of the worst damage, but Darien and New Canaan also have very severe damage. And what makes this storm so unusual is that it's really only a handful of towns that were really affected. As soon as you're driving down the Merritt Parkway through Fairfield, there's very little damage in the eastern part of town, but in the western part of town, it's a whole different ballgame. And driving down the Merritt Parkway, pieces of trees were piled high down the side of the parkway like you would see a snowbank piled up. It was quite remarkable driving down, and you could actually smell the scent of pine in the air because there were so many snapped and uprooted pine trees.
Ryan, you grew up in this state. In your opinion, how does this nor'easter compare to other storms of the past? We've heard a comparison to Hurricane Gloria.
Well, at least in this particular area, for the 6 or 7 towns in Lower Fairfield County that were just ravaged by this storm, this was likely just as strong as Hurricane Gloria was. But you have to remember that Hurricane Gloria really impacted central and eastern Connecticut a little bit harder. So the comparison is almost like an apples and oranges kind of comparison. One woman I spoke with who lived down by the water in Greenwich, she told me that this storm ranks right up there with the blizzard of '78 for how powerful the storm was. She said the wind damage in this storm was worst, but the coastal flooding in that storm was a little bit worse. So it's a little bit hard to compare, but the damage that we're seeing from the wind were from hours and hours of winds gusting between 60 and 70 miles per hour. So one of the worst nor'easters easily in the last 50 years for this part of the state.
Ryan Hanrahan live in Westport. Thanks, Ryan. We'll see you in a little while.
You're welcome.
The cleanup is also underway in New York. The same storm system that left a mess in parts of Connecticut, as we just showed you, downed trees and power lines in Westchester County, New York City, and New Jersey. Power has been restored to about half of the 235,000 homes and businesses that were left in the dark at the height of the weekend storm. Be sure to stay within